Now, if you've ever gone home from one of these meetings or from a council meeting and thought, I can do that, Sandra's about to tell you how to do it. Thank you, Sandra.
Not quite the X Factor you're used to on a Saturday evening viewing, but we'll give it a whirl. So, 2nd of May 2019, all of our district councillors, town and parish councillors will retire on the 6th of May regardless of what they do next. So we start off with a clean slate, and we're looking for people to stand up for their local communities, get that cross on a piece of paper, be the voice. Britain's definitely looking for talent. So I think I've covered all Saturday night viewing there in one go. So what's it all about being a councillor? Well, you are going to be the voice of your local community. So you're going to have an interest in what's going on around you. You might be a single issue person. Perhaps you've got widespread views. Perhaps you've got particular skills that you've learnt in your business or employment that you think you can put to use. So if any of those apply, this is about you standing up and being the X factor in your community. So what does the job entail? Well, I've given you a picture there of someone balancing. It definitely is a balancing act, because apart from your family, friends and employment, you now have to balance the needs of those within your community. They might be residents, they might be businesses, they may be tourists visiting your area. So you're definitely going to have to juggle things. If you're also a politician, you might have to deliver on a political agenda. So the demands on your time could change, but the rewards will come with that too. So we're looking for community leadership, and this is very much at the heart of what local government is about in these modern times, because it's about working collaboratively with the people in your area, with the community groups, volunteer groups, to deliver on a common ground. You'll also be involved, depending on which level you choose to stand for, in helping to develop council policy. That might be about how you tend to your village green or your local play area. But it might also be about developing local plan policy and commenting on planning applications. And there's going to be a certain amount of planning, regulation and red tape for you to think about too. But most of all, it's about thinking about what you can do for others and less about what you can do for yourself. So these are the skills. This has come from the Local Government Association. Those are the skills associated with being a councillor. So first of all, being a good listener. With that goes the need to be patient and tolerant. It also includes empathy. You will be dealing with some people who are in need of a public service. They may be quite vulnerable. There are those that will be demanding on your time because you're the only person that they want to speak to. And you might have to make listening noises in terms of body language and filter out quite a lot of information until you can get to what that person wants of you. You also have to be a good communicator, and speaking up in public might not come naturally to some of you when you're first in that role, but communication can take many forms. Some of our councillors I know say that they're regularly contacted by their constituents by telephone, people knocking on their door, email, sending letters. You'll also be required to have analytical skills, so you'll become used to reading what can be some quite complex reports, balancing competing information and coming to a decision. And thinking on your feet, I think, is one of the critical skills that you'll need to learn fairly early on in your career. Be that the person on the phone or the person in front of you, some people can be quite demanding of you. But above all, you need to be objective. So as we said earlier, this isn't about what you can do for you, it's what you can do for others. So you'll need to have reasoned arguments to whatever you do and whichever role that you choose. And negotiator is where, hopefully, being the community leader and advocate for people in your area, you can help get a better deal for those people at whatever level you choose. And working with IT, unfortunately or fortunately, depending which way you look at it, is definitely the way forward. At district council level, you'll see all councillors with iPads glued to their hands. More and more we're seeing town and parish councillors using IT because that's what your constituents will use. Some are fairly advanced, they've got Facebook profiles, they're heavily into social media. So put that all into the round, and those are the skills that you'll need to be a good councillor. So we have at Derbyshire Dales what we call the Member Development Working Group, and we're talking about what we can do to promote democracy. So my role tonight is just to promote an opportunity for you to become involved. It's not my job to get involved in politics, but these are what real people say, and these are real people that currently work for the District Council as a councillor. So they've been elected to public office, and these are genuine comments. I promise I have not edited them at all. But people do think that they have an impact on the big decisions affecting the Derbyshire Dales, and they do become the voice of the community. The one that I quite like is that it's on a personal level, it can be a new life challenge. I think that's another way of saying it can be quite challenging at times. But those are what real people have to say. So some of the frequently asked questions: what do you need to become a councillor? Well, the rules haven't changed. Anyone over 18, be a British, Commonwealth or European Union citizen. And when I was reflecting on this earlier, I asked Simon, who's at the back of the room, what kind of statistics have we got? And our youngest councillor ever became elected at the age of 25. 46 years later, the career path is still developing. And this last intake, we had 2 young councillors, 26 and 27, and quite unusually in this last council, we had 2 new babies born. And our oldest councillor, elected in 2015, was actually 83. So you can see there's a wide breadth there. Everyone has got something to offer. Things that you can't do, you can't work for the council that you choose to stand for, and there are some of the technical things up there that you must avoid. Now they are disqualifications which I cannot advise you on. You would need to speak and get independent legal advice, because that can come back to haunt you. I have a disability, can I be a councillor? Well, obviously we have a duty to make it a level playing field, a public equality duty to make sure that you have all that you need to do the job well. And at district level we have a scheme of allowances where each councillor is paid a basic allowance to cover stationery, telephones, the kind of things that will get you through the month. Some councillors have greater responsibilities, committee chairman, leader of the council, kind of thing. They will get a special responsibility allowance. And at parish and town councils you are able to claim reimbursement of expenses. So on the time front, coming back to the Balancing Act, it really depends on what you want to put in. So those figures from 5 to 20 hours a week have been updated since I published this slide. I looked earlier today and there was a census of district councillors last year, and the average is now 23 hours a week to be a district councillor. Again, it depends on what you do. If you're a member of the planning committee, you can see that rise considerably, because that is a big commitment. If you're a member of the district council's planning committee, it meets on a 4-weekly cycle. It has lots of site visits and meets itself for about 2.5 hours. So the next steps, should you choose to rise to the challenge, first thing you need to do is decide whether you want to represent a political party or whether you want to be independent, and that goes in a description box on the ballot paper. And independent is just one word, independent. It can't be anything else that might give rise to it being a political party. And in the 1920s there were 2 or 3 main political parties. This morning I looked, there are 337 political parties registered in the UK, and the 3 that I like the most, in no particular order as they do on those reality programmes: Psychedelic Future, the Pirate Party UK, and Get Snouts Out of the Trough. Other political parties exist. If you wanted to create your own political party, perhaps you've got a local cause. There is one, for example, in Chesterfield, Independents at Chesterfield in North East Derbyshire, shortened theirs to Candy. They're independents, but they want to represent a particular area. You can't do that unless you register as a political party, and you do that by going through the Electoral Commission. So if you want to stand independently, start building your profile, get people to know who you are, what you stand for and what you can promise through the ballot box. Get a nomination pack, which you can now download from our website. If you don't have those capabilities, we can provide a paper copy for you. If you're really keen and you've downloaded one of our nomination packs from the Electoral Commission prior to December, I'm sorry, but it's out of date. There's been a new legislative change that only came into force this year, and it was documented in January, and that's about a home address form. So for this particular election, if you've stood before, you now no longer have to declare your home address if you choose not to. It's a little bit like the parliamentary election, where if you don't want to reveal where you live, you don't have to, and your address on the ballot paper will be within the Derbyshire Dales area. I have brought some packs with me. The parish council, should anyone want to mob me after we've finished this. Nominations start on the 19th of March, opening hours 10 till 4 p.m, all the way through to 4 p.m. on the 3rd of April. That's the period of nomination. Now for Derbyshire Dales, we're looking at a minimum of 518 parish councillors, 39 district councillors, so that's quite a big number to get through. So what we urge you to do is make an appointment so we can go through your nomination paper properly, and there are set rules on how you can deliver that to us. Again, on the 9th of April, when we know how many contests there will be, because I have to be honest, not all parish councils will be contested. Some may only have 5 seats, so they might just have 5 candidates. That's enough. Those people are returned not contested and unopposed. If there are 6 candidates for 5, obviously the result then goes through to the ballot box. What worries me is when we've only got 2 people to stand in a 5 council ward. Hence, we're trying to promote democracy and try and get as many people as possible interested in the process. 2nd of May is election day if contested, and bearing in mind that at the moment we're thinking there might possibly be another event, but we're not quite sure. If there isn't another event on the 2nd of May, our verification will take place at 10 p.m. at Worksworth Leisure Centre, and the parish and town council election counts will take place on Friday the 3rd of May here at the district council's offices. So to help you through, we've got generic contact 7613335 rather is our electoral help desk. They help electors get through the process. They'll also be able to help candidates. Our website contains all the information that you may need, including role profiles. So this isn't a job. Standing for council is a public office. It's a public appointment. So it isn't a job with a person's specifications. This is all about how attractive a proposition you can make to the people that might want to vote for you. But we have come up with role profiles that will give you some idea of what the job entails. And the governing body is called the Electoral Commission. They have lots of information on their website for would-be candidates. If you are thinking about standing for a political party, I've listed some of the top ones there. They're all available on the website for you to contact. So what are you waiting for? Any technical questions can come through that email address, or have you any questions for our X Factor judges? Thank you.